The second point, and this is so crucial, in verse 25, it's because he has this everlasting priesthood that doesn't stop. He doesn't stop being a priest after he's raised from the dead. He doesn't stop being a priest after he ascends into the heavenly sanctuary, after he ascends in the heavenly temple. Because of this, this verse is so crucial. Consequently, whenever you see that in Scripture, pay attention, because it means as a result of everything I've said before, it follows that, consequently, he is able for all time to save those who draw near through him, since he always lives to make intercession for them. What does that mean? This is so crucial. It means that the priesthood of Jesus Christ and the sacrificial offering of Jesus Christ does not cease on Good Friday. It doesn't cease with his death on Calvary. He continues to exercise his high priestly sacrifice, his offering of himself for all time as the heavenly high priest and the minister of a sanctuary that is not of this world. That's why people can continue to draw near to God through him, because he's still acting as a mediator, right? He didn't just save the people who happened to be alive when he was crucified and raised from the dead in the first century. He continues to act as high priest on behalf of humanity for all eternity. He has an eternal priesthood. It's not like the men of the Aaronic priesthood who, when they died, would cease to function as priests. His is everlasting because of the mystery of his passion, his death, his resurrection, and his ascension. He lives forever. So crucial. Now, one reason that is important, that he's able for all time to save those who draw near to God through him, to act as a mediator, is because in these next verses, we're going to have one of the texts that is frequently used against the Catholic theology of the Mass as a sacrifice, which we're not going to go into depth in this particular video. We're going to come back to that later in Hebrews. We'll return to it. But one of the passages that will frequently be used against that doctrine is verse 27. So if you keep going, listen to what it says. It was fitting we should have such a high priest, holy, blameless, unstained, separated from sinners, and exalted where? Not into the earthly holy of holies, not unto an earthly throne of David in Jerusalem, but exalted above the heavens. That means he enters into eternity. He enters into the supernatural realm, not of the heavens, like the skies, but the one above the heavens, where God dwells. Therefore, he has no need, like those earthly high priests, to offer sacrifices every day, right? First for his own sin, and those are the people. He did this, here's the key verse, once for all, when he was offered up himself. Okay, pause there. When Hebrews says that Jesus was offered once for all, the Greek word there is ephapax. Ephapax. E-P-H-A-P-A-X. Ephapax. Now, this term, it can be translated in different ways. It has different connotations. It can mean once and never again, right? Like once and for all. Like if you say, I can't think of an English way to say this, but if we say once and for all, we can mean I've done this and I'm never going to do it again, right? Once and never again. But it can also mean, ephapax in Greek, once and for all time. In other words, I've done this once and its effects or this event continues. It endures, right? So, as we're going to see a little later on in Hebrews, this verse will be used by some of the Protestant reformers, like Martin Luther, for example, to argue that the Mass, for the Eucharist, cannot be a sacrifice because Jesus died once and for all, right? In other words, there was one sacrifice, it happened on Calvary, and there can be no more sacrifice after that one-time event. Now, in a certain sense, that's true, right? Jesus is going to die in his human nature. He's going to pour out his blood on Calvary once and never again. Ephapax. From an earthly perspective, that's true. However, Hebrews isn't just talking here about what happened on earth. In context, what meaning has the author of Hebrews suggested to us? Well, if you want to understand what he means by ephipox in 727, you might want to read it in light of 725, because he also has just said that as high priest, he's able to offer for all time, right? He is able for all time to save those who draw near to him, to God through him, since he always lives to do what? Make intercession for them. So in his priestly role as mediator and intercessor, he is continuing that process, not once and never again, but once and for eternity, because he's a heavenly high priest. He is a heavenly mediator. So this is a classic example of a good old-fashioned Catholic both and, right? So they're both true. On the one hand, from an earthly perspective, Jesus offers himself on Calvary once and never again. He's not going to die a bloody death ever again. He does that once and for all time, never again. However, as a high priest, right, who takes the sacrificial offering of himself on Calvary, lifts up his human nature in the resurrection, and then brings it into the eternal heavenly sanctuary, Christ is also going to offer himself once and for all time as a high priest who has been exalted above the heavens, who has entered into eternity to act as a mediator, not just for those who wanted to draw near to God through him in the first century, but until the end of time, right? And you can see this if you keep going in verse 28. Indeed, the law appoints men in their weakness as high priests, but the word of the oath, which came later than the law, appoints a son who has been made perfect forever. The Greek word there, aston ionia, think here of, if you know Latin, like in the glory be to God, glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and the Holy Spirit. At the end of the prayer in Latin, we'll say in secula seculorum, right? A world without end, or unto the ages, or forever, right? That's the Greek expression here. Now, what does that mean? He's been made perfect forever. Well, the Greek word here, make perfect, teleao, as I mentioned elsewhere, isn't just a term to make something, it isn't just a word that's used to describe something being made flawless. It's also the ancient Greek term for ordaining a priest. Okay, so for example, in the book of Exodus, chapter 29, when Aaron and his sons are ordained, they are teleaoed. They are made perfect, right? They're completed. They're made complete through the act of being consecrated as priests. So the very fact that Hebrews is saying in chapter 7, verse 28, that Jesus is ordained forever, or made perfect forever, or made a priest forever, implies that he's going to offer sacrifice not just on Calvary, but in heaven. He is offering himself to God the Father, not just once and for all in the sense of once and never again, but once and for all eternity. This is a totally new kind of priesthood, in other words. What Hebrews is revealing here is that the priesthood of Jesus Christ and the sacrificial offering of Christ, although it takes place in time and in history, isn't bound by time and history, because he takes that offering up into eternity as the high priest forever, according to the order of Melchizedek.